What's up, guys? My name's Dante and thank you very much for watching another video. Usually I talk about principles. I either introduce a new one or bring up a principle that we've talked about before and just kind of explain how it can be practiced. But today's going to be a little different. I wanted to bring something up that is kind of the reason I continued to practice these principles after I started. It's a realization that happened in my life, and I think it happens in some people's lives, and when we do have this realization, it becomes so much more easy. It becomes so much easier, to kind of continue to live the way that we know is good. Now, like I said, and if you've watched my videos before, you know that I used to feel that the world was kind of fighting against me, making it harder for me. I always thought the world was throwing things in my way that were getting in the way of my goals and what I wanted to achieve in life and my success. I felt defeated because it was like this power, this thing that was greater than me, being the world, was fighting against me, and if that was the truth, then I would never succeed. And that's how I thought. That's what dominated the thoughts in my head. And then once I started practicing these principles, two things happened. One, my life started to get better and started to be easier, and I saw success as something that was within reach and actually very practical for me to obtain. But more importantly, and most importantly, is that I realized that the dominating thoughts in my head were different. Now, I could have said that it's just coincidence, but it felt like something more than that. It felt like the more time I spent thinking positively, acting positively, and changing the thoughts inside my head, and having those affect my actions in a good way, it seemed like that's what made the biggest difference. And so when I noticed that, I decided to spend more energy blocking myself off from all of the negativity, because like I'd said, I had spent so much time surrounding myself with people who thought just like me, who thought that the world was fighting against me, who thought that success was something for lucky people, people who got breaks in life. I had to take a step away from that. I had to build a barrier against that negativity because it was influencing me, or at least it was harder to stay in positive thought if I was around that all of the time. So I needed to get away from that. So I made a decision, and this was years ago. I made a decision to keep people out of my life who I noticed when I was around. I was having to use some energy to block myself off from the negativity that was influencing me. I chose to be around people who I could let that guard down because I knew that their influence was good. I knew that there was positivity, and I knew that there was a way that I could add to my life from being around those people. And it started to change. You see, it started to feel like the world wanted me to have things. It started to feel like the world was just handing me things. But I learned the truth that whenever we want something, the world is trying to give it to us. The world has always, I can look back and see moments, opportunity after opportunity of the world trying to give me what I've always wanted. But it was my thoughts. It was my negativity. It was my actions that was keeping it away. I was so confused. And then it's like a light turned on. Once we're able to see that the world is trying to give us things, we can open up. And there it is. That's what I'm talking about. How do we open up? And it becomes clear that the only way I can continue to stay open is to practice the principles that I've been talking about. What do I mean by open? I mean open-minded, but it's more than that. It's more than just being able to hear new ideas. It's being able to practice them with some sort of faith, right? And if that word scares you, because it does scare some people, I'm not talking about the kind of faith that you might hear at church. And if that's something that bothers you, you don't have to worry, because that's not what I'm talking about. It's just faith that that practicing these things will work. So it's that open-mindedness of hearing new things, that faith that they'll work and actually doing them. That's what opens up the world to just giving us what we want. It doesn't have to be confusing, at least. Once again, it's our thoughts, it's our thinking that it's hard, it's our thinking that it's confusing that makes it so. It's incredible because when you start to come into more contact with successful people who have had success living this way, it's that common thread. They all think like this. And then those moments where you find yourself around people, because it's inevitable, you will find yourself around negative people. And it's not anything about their lives that make them negative, except for the fact that they're choosing to view the things in their lives as being negative, as being things that are out of their control, as being the world fighting against them. Everybody has problems in their life. Everybody has difficulties in their life. It's how we approach them, how we look at them, how we think about them that really makes a difference. I've seen circumstances where anyone would imagine and say that that's terrible thing that could happen to that person. And I've seen that person in the situation that everybody says is terrible turn it around to be an asset in their life, turn it out to be the best thing that ever happened to them. And then when somebody asks them, hey, would you change that terrible thing that happened to you? There's two responses from two different people. The person who has success in their life, who sees the world as working for them, says, absolutely not, I wouldn't change that, because erasing that would mean I'm erasing who I am, my wisdom, my progress, my success. I would never erase those terrible things. And the person who thinks, who's a victim, who thinks that the world is fighting against him, would say, yes, I would change that. And also, if that were changed, I would be so much better off. But you see, the problem with thinking that way is that's never going to change. Whatever happens to us is never, ever going to change, and wasting a moment of time thinking about what if it did change, or how unfortunate I am. Instead, imagine the person who always looks at those hard times, at those barriers as an asset, because they know that once they get over it, because they know they will, once they get over it, they're going to be stronger people. Just imagine those two different lives. And if you also were asked, which one of those lives is going to have more success, more happiness, more fulfillment? And which one of those lives is going to have more despair? Who's going to feel like a victim? Who's going to be just buried in all of life's difficulties because they're seen not as assets? It becomes so clear what we have to do if we want happy lives. We don't have to wish and hope that we will get breaks. We must embrace all of those hard things that happen to us, right? It becomes clear that these things are happening to me because I sought growth. I asked the world, I told the world I wanted to grow, and it said, fine. Here's these things that you must overcome if you want to grow. And this is what I mean. The world is trying to give us everything we want. It's not about just a lucky break, waking up one day and all of your dreams come true. It must be work. We must do work. I know you guys see all of these successful people when you scroll through Facebook and look at these, 5 to 10 minute videos, Gary Vee, other inspirational speakers. We're all saying the same thing. There is work involved, absolutely. There's no time for saying that we're victims. There's no time to say that we cannot. I don't know any successful people that think like that. I don't know any successful people that say things like that. So if we want to be successful people, we must not say things like that. And instead, use our mind to figure out how we're going to grow, how we're going to be better people, and actually how we can help other people, because most of all, that's what we're trying to do. That's the number one thing we can do for ourselves, is to help other people, to try to add good to the world. So I'm really excited to be sharing these type of things because it's what's changed my life the most. And what type of person would I be if I found a gift that I could give away for free and not do it? Not do it because of fear of criticism. This is the same thing that everybody fears when they want to go after a goal. They fear being criticized. What are people going to say? But that's not what the courageous person does. At least that's not what the strong person does, the person that wants a good life. They see an opportunity to help people and they do it despite any of the fears. And if you haven't already noticed, there's your challenge for the week. Find something that you're fearful of, something that you know if you do it'll help another person or help yourself in a positive way. Despite the fear, go into it. Go into that fear. I promise you'll see growth, and I promise that if you do that, you will have more happiness in your life. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.